Hi, I'm Amy, a 37-year-old woman navigating a tumultuous chapter in my life. The past few months have been a journey of relearning and adapting to new realities, all sparked by challenges stemming from my husband, Daniel. Thankfully, I found a remarkable ally during this tough time, a true guardian angel who stepped in when I needed it most. Before I delve into the heart of these events, let me introduce the key players in my story. First, there's my sister, Hannah, who is 5 years younger than me. She possesses a captivating beauty that always drew attention, which made our relationship rocky during our upbringing. I was the quintessential nerd while she was the life of the party, a dynamic that led to constant tension between us. Hannah had a knack for getting under my skin, likely fueled by jealousy. Despite our mother's best efforts to mend our rivalry, we remained at odds until I left for college. As we grew older, we slowly found common ground, leading to a peaceful coexistence that I had come to accept. Then there's Daniel, my ex-husband. We met at work and hit it off right away. After 2 years of dating, we decided to marry and worked tirelessly to purchase our first home together. I was the primary breadwinner, and the mortgage was in my name, which felt like a shared victory. A couple of years into our marriage, Daniel expressed a desire to start a family, painting a picture of a cozy, happy life with children. Despite my reservations, his persistence wore me down, and I eventually agreed. We welcomed a son first, followed by a daughter 2 years later. In the beginning, Daniel was an engaged and enthusiastic father, but over time, that enthusiasm waned. Before long, I found myself solely responsible for managing our home and caring for our children, while Daniel's promised support faded away. When Daniel received a significant promotion that boosted his salary above mine, I made the difficult decision to leave my job. Though it took time to accept, I decided it wasn't worth fighting over. To fill the void, I discovered a passion for hosting dinner parties, often inviting my mom, sister, and mother-in-law whenever she visited. I began to find joy in this new chapter, relishing the time spent with family and feeling content with the state of my marriage. However, our relationship faced serious strains, especially after a traumatic experience during the birth of our second child, which nearly cost me my life. This ordeal weighed heavily on us, but it wasn't until I stumbled upon a pair of unfamiliar panties while cleaning that I began to realize the extent of our issues. Heartbroken and consumed with self-doubt, I questioned my worth as a partner. Despite being over a year post-birth and undergoing therapy to heal from the trauma, that discovery made it painfully clear that my struggles were invisible to Daniel. The initial shock gave way to feelings of betrayal and anger as I became determined to uncover the truth behind Daniel's infidelity. Armed with a photo of the underwear, I confronted him, seeking answers. I then searched through his laptop and social media accounts but found nothing suspicious at first, which only deepened my confusion. Driven by desperation, I meticulously scoured every message. Despite knowing all his contacts, the idea that someone close to me could betray me felt impossible, until I noticed my sister's name frequently appearing in his conversations. At first, I dismissed it, unable to fathom her involvement. However, as I delved deeper into their exchanges, my world shattered. Their messages were filled with intimate photos, affectionate notes, and discussions about plans for Daniel to leave me. The realization struck me like a sledgehammer, leaving me reeling from the magnitude of their betrayal. Learning of my sister's involvement was a bitter pill to swallow. Despite our troubled past, I never imagined she could cross such a line. My visceral reaction was overwhelming. I was so revolted that I felt physically ill. In a desperate attempt to find answers, I reached out to Hannah, hoping for some explanation. The conversation with Hannah felt surreal. Her casual demeanor and justifications for her actions with Daniel were incomprehensible. She claimed she was doing me a favor by relieving Daniel's attention so I could focus on our children. The absurdity of her reasoning only deepened my disbelief. Hannah's attempt to downplay the situation, suggesting she yielded to Daniel's advances for what she believed was best for him, left me stunned. Her complete lack of remorse was the final straw, prompting me to end the call, engulfed in a whirlwind of disbelief and anger. In the aftermath, I was engulfed by despair. As I tended to my youngest child, the weight of betrayal began to sink in, bringing a hollow ache to the day's routines. Every task felt empty as I grappled with the reality that 3 people I had once trusted deeply had shattered my world. Keeping a brave face for my children was a struggle, especially as they asked about their father's absence, questions I couldn't answer honestly. As night approached and Daniel's absence became more troubling, my worry intensified. Repeated attempts to reach both Daniel and Hannah went unanswered, heightening my sense of isolation. Exhausted and emotionally drained, I clung to the hope that sleep might offer an escape. Yet waking the next morning with a gnawing sense of dread reminded me that this ordeal was far from over. That morning, I noticed something amiss. Daniel's belongings were gone. Frantically searching the house, I realized he'd left in the night, taking everything significant. leaving only a scattering of unimportant items behind. It was as though he'd vanished, choosing to escape rather than confront our broken reality. Amidst the shock, my focus turned to my children and their well-being, knowing they had to remain my priority. After the morning routine, with my children settled, I found myself at my mother's doorstep, carrying the heavy burden of all that had transpired. One look was all it took for her to sense my distress. Lost in a storm of thoughts, I struggled with the harsh reality of single parenthood and the uncertain future I now faced alone. When the time came to break the silence, I shared everything with her: the betrayal, Daniel's silent departure, and the painful discovery of my sister Hannah's involvement. My mother's shock mirrored my own as I recounted how I'd unearthed the affair, a line I'd never expected to cross, but felt I had to. Telling her that my own sister had betrayed me was as surreal as it was heartbreaking. I relayed Hannah's detached response when I confronted her. Her claim that she was doing what was best for Daniel. Hearing her try to justify it had been a bitter pill to swallow. And now, seeing my mother's disbelief and sorrow, I felt the enormity of it all. Confiding in her about Daniel and Hannah's betrayal brought some relief. Yet I knew the road ahead would be challenging, especially raising 3 children on my own. My family's support would be crucial, but the path forward was littered with heartache and uncertainty. As I faced the daunting task of finding employment amidst this upheaval, my mom urged me to rest while she absorbed everything I'd just shared. Her presence was an anchor, giving me a semblance of peace in the midst of chaos, though numbness lingered, reminding me that this ordeal was far from over. I managed to catch a few hours of sleep while my mom took care of my youngest. My rest was abruptly interrupted by the sound of crying and my mom's raised voice. Rushing to see what was happening, I found her finishing a heated phone call, likely giving Hannah a piece of her mind for her betrayal. In the days that followed, my mom moved in to help, simplifying logistics and providing invaluable emotional support. Hannah's attempts to reach out were met with my mom's firm instruction to block her, validating my feelings of betrayal during a time when I felt so isolated. The sting of discovering from friends that Daniel and Hannah had hastily married after he left us added further injury to my already broken heart. It was a bitter pill to swallow, forcing me into awkward conversations with concerned friends who, in solidarity, chose to cut ties with both Daniel and Hannah. My mother's reaction to their marriage revealed a fierce side of her that I rarely saw. Known for her gentle demeanor, her fury spoke volumes about her love and protectiveness toward us. She offered financial support and assistance in finding job opportunities, a testament to her unwavering commitment as we navigated this difficult transition. Facing questions from the kids about Daniel was challenging, yet we persevered, drawing strength from our love and resilience. A week into this new reality, a letter from Daniel arrived. I hesitated, guessing it might contain an apology I wasn't ready to hear. The weight of everything we had endured loomed heavy on my shoulders as I contemplated the next steps for me and my children. Bolstered by my mother's steadfast presence, I decided not to read Daniel's letter. Seeing it as my way of achieving closure, a week felt far too generous for any attempts at reconciliation, especially after his choice to leave us without a word. In a moment of defiance, I burned the letter. Still, curiosity gnawed at me. There were moments when I wondered about its contents, yet, I quickly reminded myself that no words from him could undo the damage he had done. The next day, in an effort to inject some joy back into our lives, my mom and I took the kids to the fair. It was a much-needed escape from the heaviness that had clouded our days. Surrounded by laughter and the vibrant atmosphere, I found myself genuinely smiling for the first time in ages. That night, as my mom and I unwound with a bottle of wine, I broached the subject of the letter. I received something in the mail last night. I began hesitantly. Oh, what was it? My mom asked, her curiosity piqued. A letter from Daniel, I admitted. And what did it say? She leaned in, eager to know. I have no idea, I confessed. You didn't open it? She sounded surprised. No, I couldn't bear to read his excuses, so I burned it instead, I explained, feeling a mix of defiance and regret. My mom paused. Amy, what if it was something important, like official divorce papers? I shrugged off her concern. The envelope didn't look official at all. I'm sure it wasn't anything like that. Okay, if you're sure, but what do you think he might have said in it? She probed gently. I don't know, maybe a half-hearted apology, or perhaps he just wanted his stuff back, I speculated, trying to dismiss the lingering what-ifs. Our conversation drifted away from the letter as we focused on the lighter aspects of our night, yet the uninvited specter of what could have been lingered in the background, a silent reminder of our past. Navigating this tumultuous period has felt like a roller coaster, but the moments of joy at the fair offered a glimpse of hope. The hardest part remains addressing the kids' inquiries about their dad. Finding the right words is always a challenge. Though progress is slow, we're gradually improving. My mom's unwavering support has been my rock. During our conversation, she revealed her decision to disown Hannah. ensuring that her support and inheritance would solely benefit me and my children. Her choice, driven by Hannah's indefensible actions, underscored the depth of her disappointment. While initially shocking, I quickly understood her perspective. The thought of severing ties with one's child was unimaginable to me, deepening my gratitude for my mom's support. Just as we were adjusting to our new normal, an unexpected visit caught me off guard. With my mom at work and no visitors expected, the sight of two men in black suits at my door was startling. Introducing themselves as lawyers only heightened my anxiety and curiosity about why they were there. When they handed me a check for an astonishing $520,000, I was left speechless, convinced there had to be a mistake. Yet the lawyers insisted there was none and encouraged me to read the note accompanying the check. The message began with a heartfelt thank you for saving me, stirring both confusion and curiosity within me. As I read further, it became clear that this unexpected fortune was from Alexis, my mother-in-law. Her letter detailed her thwarted attempts to visit, which led to a confession about Daniel's actions. Alexis expressed her disappointment in her son and compassion for me and my children. In a powerful gesture of love and support, she disclosed her decision to redirect her entire inheritance to us as a way to make amends for the wrongs inflicted by Daniel. The lawyers then shared the heart-wrenching news of Alexis's terminal illness and her passing just a day before. Her last wishes were clear: she wanted her inheritance to ensure the well-being of me and her grandchildren. Learning of her death and her final act of kindness brought tears to my eyes. Alexis had always been a source of integrity and support. Though Daniel seemed intimidated by her, I always felt comforted in her presence. Her final gesture underscored her commitment to doing what was right, ensuring that her support would remain with us even after she was gone. Alexis's legacy wasn't just in her assets, it was in the love and protection she extended to us, marking the end of a significant chapter in our lives. When Daniel called, I already had a sense of where the conversation was headed but chose to listen, more out of curiosity than anything else. "What did you do?" he demanded. His vagueness made me press for more detail, leading him to reveal he had sent a letter, instructing me to pretend everything was normal for his mother's visit on a particular day. "Oh, was that what the letter was about?" I replied, then admitted I had burned it without reading it. Daniel's outrage was immediate. He accused me of sabotaging his chance at an inheritance, calling me selfish. The irony of his accusation, given he'd left his family for personal gain, wasn't lost on me. I retorted, reminding him of his abandonment and pointing out that his mother's decision clearly reflected her understanding of what was right for her grandchildren and me. I ended the call, firmly instructing him to never contact us again. From there, I quickly initiated divorce proceedings and secured full custody of our children. Daniel's attempts to contest Alexis's will were fruitless. Her decision was explicit in her wishes. Despite pressure from Daniel and even Hannah, who urged me to reconsider, I remained resolute in honoring Alexis's intentions. The financial security Alexis left us was transformative. I set aside a significant portion for my children's education and made wise investments, allowing my mom to retire comfortably and freeing me to pursue a new career path. My children have gradually adjusted to their father's absence, and I'm prepared to share the full story with them when they're ready. Though this ordeal left lasting scars, the support of loved ones and newfound stability have been invaluable. As we continue to rebuild, I'm certain that we can only move forward, guided by hope and resilience.